everyone, happy holidays. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Stitch Sessions. If you are new here, my name is Karen and I love all things to do with crafting with crochet. And every year I do a year in review. And for those of you that are my regular viewers and crochet friends, welcome back. I hope you guys have all had a lovely holiday season so far. We've just begun. Today is Boxing Day, so I'm sure a lot of you are just resting easy or maybe visiting with some family and friends, or maybe just enjoying some quiet time alone, which I definitely know that I enjoy. So today we are going to do a year in review of our Shawl We Crochet Series. And for those of you that are not familiar with our crochet series, every year we do a crochet series where we work on a theme-related item or project every month. So this year's theme was shawls, and more precisely, shawl shapes. So every month we took on a different shawl and a different shawl shape, and that is what we are going to review today. Now, if you're curious about any of our previous crochet series, I will leave a link to those in the description box down below. So for 2021, we did Life's a Beach for that crochet series. That one was a lot of fun. We also traveled to quite a few different beach locations to show off some of our crochet items. In 2020, we did Year of the Bride. That one was a really popular crochet series. So everything we did was related to a bride. And then in 2019, we did the 12 Gifts of Crochet, which I thought was really cute. So every month we had a different theme for a crochet item that you can gift to someone. So those are all pretty fun and interesting. So again, we'll leave a link for those down below for you to check out. So in the meantime, let's dive into our review. And then I've got a little kind of bonus announcement I'm going to make at the end of the video. So make sure you watch right till the end. And by the way, if you're already wondering what is going to be the theme for the crochet series for 2023, well, there will be a sneak peek video. I usually release it on New Year's Eve. So make sure to look out for that video being released on New Year's Eve. However, there is a hint to the theme of what we're going to be working on in the new year in this video. So if you think you've already figured it out, make sure to leave it for me in the comment box down below. I'm curious to see if you guys have figured it out already. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with January. In January, our shawl was the Snowflake Stole. And this was a shawl using the rectangular shape. Now it's called a stole and not a shawl because a stole is a little bit smaller than a traditional longer rectangular shawl. And it's really just meant to just give a little bit of coverage over the shoulders. Typically you would see this worn in a formal setting, which is what I made mine for. And this was really fun to make. It's actually made in the round, believe it or not. And I used the Caron Latte Cakes yarn for this, and it was super, super fun. And of course, there will be a link to the full playlist of this year's series in the description box down below if I haven't mentioned that already. Okay, so let's talk about February's shawl. Now in February, we worked on the Valentina shawl. Now that one was really, really beautiful to work on. That was the triangular shape, and we used the traditional granny triangle shape. Now there's a couple of ways you can make a granny triangle, but this is the most common way to make a triangular shawl. So if you're newer to crochet, this is still very, very doable. All you need to know are some double crochet stitches and chains pretty much, and you are all set. And then we created this really pretty heart-shaped border around the edges, just in the theme for Valentine's Day. Again, easier to create than you might think. And this was really, really lovely. It was using a really fine yarn. I would say this is a fine weight #1. We used Wool-like by, I'll leave a link, a graphic to that up here. It comes out really soft and beautiful, but if you are not really a fan of using super fine yarns, this might not be the yarn to use for you. Okay, so moving on to March, we worked on the wedge-shaped shawl. Now this one was really cool to work on because I've never seen a wedge-shaped shawl anywhere. And in fact, upon further study, after I've done all the shawls this year, I realized that this was actually, the concept of this shawl was actually really closely related to the Faroese shape, which, by the way, we're going to dive deeper into in the coming year. So it's basically 3 wedges of triangles that are put together to create this shawl. Now, what's cool about the drape on this shawl is that the wedges that face the front really drape over the shoulders really nicely, and that's why I realized it's really very closely related to the Faroese shape. And I did it in this pretty green and white, it was like a sagey green and white yarn, kind of in honor of St. Patrick's Day. And this was the Heartland yarn. I absolutely love their Heartland yarn line. But for whatever reason, they don't have the color white, which is really, really odd. They have so many gorgeous colors, and it gives you such a beautiful drape, and the colorways are gorgeous. So this was the wedge-shaped shawl for the month of March. Now for April, this was a very popular project. We did the Slice of Heaven shawlette. So it's a shawlette because it was a little bit more on the smaller side. Again, similar idea to what the snowflake stole was. Kind of meant more to just drape over the shoulders. You can even use it as a little bit of a scarf. And it was using the semicircle shape. And the semicircle is a popular one because it's easy in its concept if you understand how to crochet circles, but yet it can be really challenging to create the semicircle shape and keep that edge straight along the top of it. So I think that's part of the reason why it was so popular. It was also done in a very light, super fine weight yarn. In fact, I used crochet thread for a lot of this. On top of It's a Wrap yarn. So I combined some similar weighted yarns to create this shawl, and it made for a really beautiful, really pretty springtime shawl add-on to any wardrobe. And like I said, this one was really popular with you guys, so something tells me the semicircle shawls are something we should continue to do more of in the future. So that was a great way to start off the spring season. Now, in the month of May, we did the Wedding Bells shawl, and this is one of my favorite shawls to work on. We did this creating what I call a bell shape, but it's really known as the trapezoid shape. So it kind of tapers down the bottom, but it's a straight, the sides are parallel, but it'll taper down the bottom. And actually, if you turn it upside down, it tapers out, or it tapers up, however you want to look at it, to create like this bell type shape. And I thought weddings, wedding bells, that would be kind of a great combo. Also, we used the X stitch to create this shawl, combined with the shell stitch, which also adds a bell-like detail in the shawl. And I used the Baby Love yarn, which you can find at most Walmarts. And again, fine weight yarn, but I used just a little bit of a larger hook, and the drape is gorgeous on this thing. I would wear this as a super scarf, actually, and it wraps beautifully. It's perfect for a springtime wedding. I would even say it would be lovely to wear in a summertime wedding, just as a beautiful wrap around the bride. Again, you can make it for any occasion. I just happened to make it in white, and this was super, super fun to do and not that hard. It was just a combination of a few different rows of stitches to create the whole look and design. So that was the Wedding Bells shawl for May. In June, we did the Freedom shawl. Now this was by far the most popular shawl project we did this year, and I think most of you can figure out why I named it the Freedom Shawl. If you look at the colorways that I used to create this shawl, it was really an homage to kind of what's been happening, what had just happened in the world a few months back. And it was kind of something I felt I really needed to do. And I used the crescent shape for this shawl. This is another great shape for beautiful drape. So shawls that sit nicely over the shoulders, you don't have to worry about them sliding around everywhere. And I used the blue and the yellow colors, and this came out just divine, divine. I recently did a craft show, and I had this hanging up, and it sold right away. So it was really a beautiful project to work on, and it was something that just really kind of kept in the forefront, just, you know, life and how precious it is, and just a reminder of being kind to one another and really working on your empathy for what other people go through. And also it was for me a symbol of hope of what possibly could be at some point, maybe a little bit more peace in the world, which is always something I know everybody always wishes for. Now, I kept the stitch extremely simple for this because, again, the main focus was the shape and, of course, the colors that I used in the shawl. It was just a double crochet stitch. Simple, simple, simple stitch. And then, of course, just I went through how you would do increase stitches on the ends to create that beautiful crescent-shaped shawl. So that was June's shawl. And then we move into July. We're getting deep into summer. And July's shawl was the Summer Breeze shawl. And this was really cute to make. It wasn't a very long shawl. Again, it was meant to be for the summer. And so this was a return to the triangle shape, but we created it in a different fashion. So for the Valentina shawl, we started basically from the flat edge and we built the point upwards. With the Summer Breeze shawl, we started from the point and we worked our way out, and we used the mesh stitch for this shawl. Again, very beginner friendly. We simply used, again, double crochet stitches and chain stitches. And then we just talk about how you increase on each side, and you created your really pretty triangular shaped shawl. Really nice for like a cool beachy night, maybe up at the cottage or something like that. But it's also shallow enough in length that you could wear this as a scarf in the fall or the winter. So I really liked how this one came out. I have to say, before I move on to August, I was not a fan of that yarn. I'm not a fan of roving yarns because they change the girth of the strand as you move along. So for garments, because I made a mistake of using that yarn for a cardigan, you're not going to get an even type of fabric. So depending on your stitch tension, the fabric tends to bunch up or to really sag down because of that roving nature. However, if you're doing really basic things like scarves and shawls, fantastic. And I talk about how much I don't like that yarn in the video. So I'll just leave it at that. And if you're curious, you can check it out in the video. Okay, so for August, we move on to the Seaside shawl. This was another one of my favorites. And I revisit using the Baby Love yarn. And these colors came together so amazingly. I used the Crystal Waves stitch for this project. Again, you can create it using double crochets in combination with some chain stitches. And that's all I did was use one stitch, but through the repetition and creating this beautiful length of shawl, it just gave it this gorgeous texture. Now we revisited the rectangular shape for this shawl and we did a full size. So this would be what I would call a traditional rectangular shaped shawl. It had a beautiful length to it. And I actually really love this one so much. I had been commissioned to make it for someone and I kind of wanted to keep it. It was just so beautiful. The drape was great. The Baby Love yarn is wonderful for creating soft, beautiful drape. It's generally used for baby clothes, of course. The only thing that I didn't like about using that yarn is that it's very staticky, but the result is so great that, you know, you can overlook that really easily. So that was August's shawl. Now, moving on to September, we're getting into the fall. So in September, we did the Fall Fair Wrap. This one was actually one of the funnest. I don't know if it was my favorite shawl, but it was the funnest to create because it was done using all scrap pieces. I had a dear friend of mine gift me some scrap yarn from her mom who knits a lot. And all of the colors just worked so beautifully together. So I decided to create a rhombus shape, I think is what it's called. It's also known as a parallelogram. So this wrap really lends itself to be a little bit more of a scarf. So in the fall, you know, with the weather being sometimes cool, sometimes not, I thought the sizing of this project was really appropriate for this shawl shape. And I kept the design really simple with inserting a row of mesh stitches, again using double crochet stitch and a single stitch, with just a couple of rows of half double crochet stitches. So keeping the idea simple to create a really textured and interesting design. Okay, moving on to October's shawl, we had the Drama Queen shawl, and this was using the dragon tail shape. This was a really cool shape because I've seen this done before and I was always curious, how did they create that shape? So really, it's a take on an asymmetrical shawl married with a crescent shape, but it's done in rows. So some of these shawls are done in rows, some of them are done in the round. This is done in rows by increasing on one side and then decreasing on the other every so many rows. So, and then it creates that really cool step-like effect, or the scales of the dragon tail. And I thought this one came out really cool. I personally would wear this more as a scarf. Unless you're going to make this super long, but based on the way it curves, the longer you make it, the more it's just going to curl. So I'd be curious if any of you guys have done this shape or have crocheted the dragon tail design. Let me know if you've had this issue with it curling in a way that you weren't crazy about, because the idea is you want it to wrap nicely. You don't want it to curl prematurely. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. This was lovely. It was, I got a lot of compliments on this one. I did wear this as a scarf at one point. So that was October's shawl. And then we move on to November. Now, November shawl, I have to say, I started working on this shawl probably mid-summer because I'd been kind of flipping around the idea in my brain for a while. So I was really, I enjoyed working on this shawl. I have to say, it took me a while, and that is the Rwana shawl. And this is basically two rectangles that get sewn together halfway up. And it looks a little bit like a cloak or a cape type of shawl. And this is lovely because you can drape it in a few different ways. And the colors I used were just great. I had this purpley trim color along with this sparkly mauve color, and I used the star stitch, which just came out divine on that project. Great one to work on over the holidays. If you're looking for like a larger project to keep you a little busy on your downtime, that's a nice one to do. Okay, and lastly, we're getting to December. So December's shawl. Well, I was really looking forward to working on this shawl. I had this big buildup in my mind, and that was the Angel Wings shawl. And the shawl shape was the Faroese shape. And this shape is such a cool, beautiful, gorgeous shape. It creates amazing drape. It's one of those shawls that is designed so that it again, sits beautifully on the shoulders. And it just fell a little flat to what my initial kind of vision was. Traditionally, you see this shawl shape done mostly in knitting patterns. Now, not to say that there aren't a few crochet patterns out there, but I think traditionally this was used mostly in knitting. So I decided to tackle the shawl shape and see if I can figure out how to do it in crochet. Now there is, of course, a way to do it. Now the boo-boo that I made is that I had made a sample first, and so when you're unsure of things, just like in sewing, make a sample first to kind of get the concept of how the shape is. So when I did the sample, and I talk about this in the video, the shape worked out great. So it's got a spine, and then it has this winged out shape that looks like wings. So that's why it sits so beautifully on the shoulder. But I did the sample in a fine weight yarn, and then when I did the actual shawl project, I was doing it in a more bulkier yarn, and I didn't do enough rows in the bulky version because I tried to replicate it exactly what I did in the fine yarn version. Doesn't work. So using bulkier yarn, I had to have done more rows of increases to give me that really predominant winged shape. And I talk about this in the video. However, it came out really nicely. It looked a little bit more like a take on a semicircle shawl with a little bit of a turned up collar, which I think still came out really cute. I used the scarfy yarn in the self-striping in red and white, so I thought it was perfect for Christmas. But once I finished it and I kind of studied a little bit more, I realized that I needed to do another Faroese project because I have got the concept now. So in 2023, there will be another shawl using the Faroese shape, which will really, really show you how that winged design comes to be. And it's actually not that hard, but it does look intricate when you see it done. So in any case, I hope you still enjoy the Angel Wings shawl, which was this month's shawl project. Okay guys, and there we have it. That is our year in review for 2022. Now, a lot of times people ask me what is my favorite project that I worked on this year, which I've already discussed. And I would say it's my top two, which is the Wedding Bells shawl, that was May's shawl, and the Seaside shawl. Those really, truly were my two favorite shawls to work on. It actually didn't have anything to do with the shawl shape. It had to do with the yarn that I used. The yarn was just lovely, and it created a beautiful, beautiful texture and a beautiful drape. So those were my top two favorites. But interestingly enough, your favorites, based on the views, the number one favorite shawl was the Freedom Shawl. We had over 5,000 views on that shawl and the shawl shape. So I hope that you really enjoyed working on that shawl. I'd really love to see how your Freedom Shawl came out. I know some of you had said that you were going to experiment with different colors. So tell me all about it in the comments down below and tag me. I'm on Instagram, don't forget, at the Stitch Sessions. So let me see how your Freedom Shawl turned out. Now, in close second, I do have to say, was the Slice of Heaven shawl. So again, that semicircle shape is really, really popular. So that was the second most popular shawl we did this year with you guys. So by the way, have you guys figured out what the theme is going to be for 2023? The hint is in this video, by the way, but I'm not going to give it away in this video. You have to wait till New Year's Eve. Okay, now, the announcement that I wanted to make at the end of this video is that I am doing a giveaway. So I've talked a lot about in the last few videos about how we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? It's so exciting to have so many crochet friends come and hang out with me every week. Now, don't forget, I upload a brand new tutorial every Wednesday morning without fail. And this week, I'll be uploading some bonus videos, but usually I do that between Christmas and New Year's. I know a lot of you are at home and have some downtime. So we are almost at 10,000 subscribers, and I have been saying that I'm going to be doing a giveaway, and people are probably thinking, well, what the heck are you giving away? As of this filming, we are at 9,537, I think. So we just need a few more of you. So if you're new and you like this video, and maybe you've taken a sneak peek at some of our other videos, you like this type of content, make sure to press that subscribe button. And so once we hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away one of the shawls that we did this year. So the shawl that I'm going to be giving away is the Rwana shawl. And like I said, this was a pure joy to work on. It drapes beautifully. It's done in the Rwana shape, so you can wear it any which way you like. Got my little tag on here. And I will ship it to you. So how do you enter for this giveaway? I discuss it in my Christmas crochet tour of this year. So you need to watch that video. There is a question that I ask you. So you need to watch that video, answer that question in the comments down below of that video, and of course make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And I will be making the announcement of the winner once we hit that 10,000 subscriber. Will be randomly chosen. Now, I know that there's some scams out there, so if anyone comments in the comments that you've won, that is not me. Okay, so I will be announcing the winner in a video like this. Okay, and then I will ask you to email me directly with your contact info, and I will be sending you the Rwana shawl. Now remember, this was made to fit for my size. So just so you know the dimensions, the length from the neck down is 26 inches or 67 centimeters. It sits quite long on me, and the full length from, you know, front to back is 52 inches or 132 centimeters. And the width across from the center to the outer edge is 24 inches or 62 centimeters. So please take that into consideration. I do want to make sure that whoever wins this is very happy to receive it and that they feel it's going to fit them nicely. And as always, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me every week. Thank you for those that have continued to support the channel and to support my crochet journey by subscribing, liking, sharing the videos. Some of you have graciously donated with the thanks button with $1 or $2, and I so appreciate it. It helps me kind of continue working on making better videos for you guys. And don't forget, give me thumbs up, leave me comments in the comment box. Let me know if you've got requests. Some of you even have emailed me directly with your request, and if you would like, info@crochetcrafty.com. You can email me there. And if you haven't seen the project that you've requested yet, please hang in there. It's still just me doing everything, so I'm trying to get to all of them. I do make a list of them. I have not forgotten about you. And of course, also make sure to visit me at the crochetcrafty.com website. Lots of bonus stuff there for you. I've got sizing charts, there's free written patterns, there's a link to my Etsy shop, which I'm still continuously working on creating patterns for that. And make sure to sign up for my monthly newsletter because I do gift you a free written pattern every month. There's also some additional behind the scenes photos of a lot of the projects that we've worked on in our tutorials. So that's it for this year, guys. I hope you have a really wonderful holiday season. I so appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I hope that if you choose to hang out with me throughout the holidays, that you enjoy the company we keep together. I appreciate you and I thank you so much. So, as always, happy crocheting, take good care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next session. Oh, and don't forget, this Wednesday there is actually a project, so there's going to be some stitch tutorials, but there's going to be a project as well, and that is the movie night blanket. Remember I talked about this in my Christmas crochet tour, so that's going to be this week, which is perfect for working throughout the holidays because it'll take you a little while, and it's a great something that you can work on while you're watching your favorite show or a great movie, and that's why I call it the movie night blanket. All right, guys, so I will stop talking now. I think my battery on this second camera is now just about to die. So I will see you guys in the next session. Happy holidays. Bye.